This is my last video before the release of Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet, unless the Pokémon company decides to throw another random trailer at us, which I don't think will happen. With that in mind, I don't think there's anything left for me to do but to look back at Gen 8 and tell you how I feel about it, how this first full generation on the Switch was to me. So hey, I'm not so a strainer, and how was Gen 8, to me at least? Let's get into it. So Gen 8, like every single Pokemon generation, had its ups and downs and its controversy, so I want to know your opinion in the comments as well, but please keep it civil, or at least make it seem like you're trying to keep it civil. Alright, Pokémon Sword and Shield plus DLC, the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. I have over 1,000 hours in this game. I loved beating it, I loved playing online in max raids, shiny hunting, PvP, everything. Now, was the game perfect? Nah, it was not perfect at all. And I'm not gonna mention Dexit because while it was a surprise, it didn't end up affecting my experience that much. Pokémon Sword and Shield felt a bit disconnected from the previous generation, as in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. If you gave me Scarlet and Violet after the Gen 7 games, it would feel like those games were the true successors to Alola. They look bright and there seems to be an overall freedom of movement that Alola was hinting at. Sword and Shield kinda started this with the wild area, but it only made it so when you returned to regular routes, you felt stuck. The lack of freedom was a lot more apparent. The story was fine for Pokemon standards, that's a Pokemon story for you. When they hit, but when they miss, they're still an okay vehicle to the endgame. They're never gonna be incredible stories, and Sword and Shield was for sure an example of it. If you want to know more about the story though, check this video out. It's basically the changing of the guard, and it was a mirror of what was happening inside Game Freak at the time. A good idea that might have not translated perfectly to Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. The presence of EXP candies plus the experience share also made it so it was a bit too easy for my taste to level up Pokemon. And that's coming from someone who's absolutely fine with a global EXP share. But you could simply choose to not use the experience candies, so it wasn't really a bad thing. But as I said, I loved Sword and Shield, but I've only talked about negative things. And there are two reasons for that, well, three if you count Berserker, the release of my absolute favorite Pokemon. The first reason is multiplayer. Max raids and Dynamax adventures, as well as how easy it was to just dive into PvP for the first time, made it so the game was never ending. I can still boot up Sword and Shield and go into Dynamax adventures to find Legendaries. Max raid events made it so there was a worldwide common goal, be it a Gmax form or a boosted shiny chance. These games basically set the course for the future of Pokemon when it comes to multiplayer. And another thing, DLC. Yes, the second reason is DLC, and I love the fact we got one instead of Pokemon Gun or whatever they would call it. It also helped that it was gorgeous. Basically the whole thing was a well-populated wild area. It was a big contrast to the regular wild area, and without a doubt something I expect to see in every game going forward. These two things together made it so Sword and Shield was and still is a very good experience for new players or new replayers that want to start a fresh save file with access to the islands. And so on a scale of 1 Berserker to 10 Berserker, I give it a solid 7 Berserker. And now we have to talk about BDSP. What is there to say about BDSP that wasn't said already? These games were a missed opportunity and a bit of a mess when they released. Did I enjoy playing them? Yeah, I didn't mind the graphics after the original shock and actually thought the whole style was gorgeous. It was bright and a nice overall modern take on the top-down style that made Pokemon so famous. But it did not feel like a remake. It felt like a remaster with some quality of life improvements. And at that, it is a very good remaster. But it sure is priced like a remake. The Grand Underground was just so good, truly one of the best evolutions they could have added to a Gen 4 remake, and the Pokemon Dance plus Diglett/Dugtrio shards clearly were the new shiny hunting method, but they made it so the shiny charm didn't work there or outside, and even ignoring all of that, they did not make the Pokemon shiny in the overworld. They knew that most people spending time in the Pokemon Dance would be hunting for shinies, so why not make it appeal to them? And I think that is my biggest gripe with BDSP. They had good ideas, but never really fully made them good. There were some key choices that just didn't work. These games have some of the hardest post-game rematches ever, but no one will ever care about them due to the gyms and other important battles having dumb AI. These games had a great feature for shiny hunters, or even collectors in general, but no one will care because they didn't make the shiny charm work there. It only works with eggs. And the same thing with the post-game legendaries. It takes you so long to grind the shards that it turns an overall interesting feature into something that you might just push to the side. So I did enjoy BDSP, I had a wonderful time in the Grand Underground and in the rest of the game honestly. But after so many years of having Pokémon remakes feeling fresh, it's hard not to look at BDSP as the worst Pokémon remake. Which isn't that bad, because all the other remakes were actually pretty good. Oh, and we did get Arceus event, so that's a big plus for the game. I'll give it a middle of the road 5 Berserker. Great ideas, very poor execution. Think of it as a low 5 though. And now let's move on to Pokémon Legends Arceus. Well, the final game of Gen 8, a huge risk for the Pokémon company, basically an almost complete change in the Pokémon formula and a single release instead of the classic double version. This was a joy to play. We never had this freedom in the Pokémon game and we never had this relationship with our surroundings, but we always wanted it. The out-of-battle catching and throwing of items made you so much more immersed in what was going on, and the Pokémon trying to kill you also did a lot about that. Lore-wise, I was a bit disappointed. I thought they would go more into the story behind the Celestica people and all that, but they decided to keep it a secret, for now I hope, and basically only showed us the reasoning behind some things like the Spear Pillar, Team Galactic and a few others. But, and there is always a but, the noble battles and then the legendary battles became a bit dull after a time. I don't mind the dodging, but I wish it was more than just throwing the charm over and over. They should have made those specific battles a bit more like the auto battles in Scarlet and Violet, and the charms would be only used at the end. Oh, and the Pokédex completion was so tedious. I get it, you're creating the first actual Pokédex, but there's a limit and that was way past mine. Apart from that and a few performance issues that I blame mostly on the console, it was a wonderful game. Would I want every Pokémon game to be just like this one? No. As I said, I like the traditional Pokédex, I like the badges, even though the nobles work kinda like them, and I do enjoy myself a final tournament to reach the goal of champion. But all the rest? Yes, this game and Scarlet and Violet are a show of what's to come and I really look forward to it. So on a scale of 1 to 10 Berserker, I'll give Pokémon Legends Arceus an 8. Why not a 9 you ask? Well, a 9 is a pretty big number and I just don't feel comfortable giving it to Pokémon Legends Arceus. Think of it as a high 8 though. Overall, I like the ideas behind Gen 8 and I really like what they show about the future of Pokémon and I can't wait to experience a bit of it later this week. But what about you? How did you feel about Gen 8? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokémon content and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. You can follow me on social media and Twitch, I stream there Wednesday to Sunday, not Saturday, or join our Discord, all the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you all on the next one.